Welcome to Shelf Help. Today we're speaking with Alex Witt, who's joining us from Deer Park, Illinois. Alex is the CEO of Battle Bars, a better-for-you protein-focused brand that primarily offers Rice Krispie treat type bars and in nostalgic flavors that are packed with about 20 grams of protein. A Navy veteran, prior to Battle Bars, Alex helped grow a logistics business to 200 million plus in revenue. Also launched a 10-40-10 fitness, a training platform that eventually evolved into 2 gyms, as well as a software platform called Move that essentially provides visual aided programming to really kind of ditch the whiteboard, making life easier for gym owners and coaches. But yeah, thank you for your service, by the way, Alex. But yeah, first off, just for the listeners that aren't as familiar with Battle Bars, maybe just give us kind of quick lay of the land in terms of origin story, why behind the brand, or flavors, products you guys offer, and then maybe just shout out a few places where people get their hands on them, and then we'll start there.
Yeah, let's do it. So thanks for having me on, Adam. It's pretty cool that you do this stuff. It's a good way to get the brands out there and learn a little bit, especially for young entrepreneurs. So it's helpful. I wish I would have listened to some of this stuff beforehand.
Totally.
Yeah. So Battle Bars, we like to tell everyone we were born in the battlefield. My partner Ian and I, served Iraq. He served Afghanistan and Syria. And we both shared this same sentiment that when we were overseas, there was nothing good to eat. We were eating Cliff Bars and MREs every day. And I remember we'd go out into the field, and before you go out in the field, there was this huge bin of all these Cliff Bars. And no offense to Cliff Bar guys, right? They sold for $3 billion. So joke's on me. But we'd all go into this this bin, and there'd be all these Cliff Bars sitting there for free for us to grab. And we'd all be like, I don't really want to grab this right now. So I'd go to the bin, stick it in our packs, and no one wanted to eat it. It was just kind of sit in our gut, and we're like, man, whatever. So anyways, fast forward, getting out and got into logistics space and logistics business, but that's a whole nother podcast. But after getting out of that, I wanted to, after the exit, we wanted to find something that actually tasted good. And I was investing into companies and looking for better known companies to invest in. And, my partner Ian and I kind of were talking about things, and we said, how do we create something that actually tastes good? How come every protein bar, if I go down the aisle, I get a Quest bar and it tastes like I'm eating rubber and chalk? And how is it that they're selling? And I looked at all these numbers, and I look at an RX bar that sells for almost $700 million. And it's disgusting. Yeah, it's super clean, right? X amount of ingredients, that's it. But it's gross, man. It's just so gross. And then you have these other bars that say zero sugar all over them, and all these companies, it's fake sugars, right? So it's kind of like a lie, but it's not really a lie. It's just you're kind of tricking the consumer. I remember looking at all these, and I'm like, wait, why? All these guys have sold for $500+ million, all of them, eventually, right? And I'm like, there's got to be a space for that. So we ended up hiring a food scientist and a chef from a co-man that actually worked there. And my partner's brother had a relationship with them existing. So we came up with a concept and talked to the chef and said, what's something nostalgic? What does everyone love to eat? And everyone, I was like, I don't know anyone that didn't like a Rice Krispie treat, but I don't know anyone that doesn't like that. So we're let's make something similar to that. And, after about 1 billion iterations of trying to do it right, we came with our first, the very, very first bar, which is our chocolate, or the mother of all bars, as we called it. But now, we've expanded. We have 10 flavors, which we're shrinking down to just 5 core flavors that go retail. But you can find us in, over 5,000 stores, including Lifetime Athletic Clubs, Speedway, which is about 1,500 stores, 7-Elevens, that's a 7-Eleven owned company, Yesway, Allsips, UFC gyms, meetings chains, 1,000+ gyms, golf courses, things like that. So, yeah.
That's great. I have to imagine you get asked about the transition from the military to entrepreneurship a fair amount. So I don't want to ask you too much about this and rehash yourself unless you want to dive into it in detail. But yeah, just for someone that's, that is looking to jump straight from a military career into entrepreneurship, especially in the CPG space, what are just maybe a few recommendations or things you'd kind of tell people who you might have for them that are, and or things to watch out for?
Yeah, I mean, it depends if you're going to go into the creator space where you're going to go full entrepreneur, or if you're going to like go look for a company to work for or learn certain skills. So I think like my skill set, like I was in logistics after the military. So like I didn't even know what logistics was, man. Like I literally got out of the military and I was like, I'll do whatever. So like when I got out, I was working at GNC like a total meathead and like worked there. I'd work there from like 8 until like 6 p.m. at night. And then I would leave straight from there. I ran like 8 stores and made like $32,000 a year, by the way. Shout out GNC. Appreciate you guys. Right? 32 grand a year to run 8 stores and just abuse me. And then like I would leave there at 6 p.m. I would go straight to I would go to school and I was getting my fire science degree and EMT license. And I was just trying to like work my ass off. Like I was never afraid of hard work. I mean, I was, in Iraq, it was 24/7. There was no days off, right? And just sweating profusely, no showers. It was gross. So like I'd get to go to bed every night. Like this was easy. Like I'd go to I'd go to school until like 10 o'clock. And then when I leave there, I'm like, well, I need extra cash on me. So, I just go work at this bar. So like, I don't really care about hanging out and partying, whatever. So like, I'll go work at this bar, and I worked at this Irish pub down the street from my house from like 10:30 until like 4 in the morning. And I just get up and do it all over again. And I did that for like a year and then realized it actually did take a toll on your body to do. So like, man, I said, when you get out of the military, there's a real fear, Adam, about like your paycheck is there on the 1st and 15th of every month. It doesn't matter if you worked a lot or you worked a little. It doesn't matter. And you know what you're getting. You know exactly how much. You know exactly how much you got to save for your rent, for your mortgage, or whatever it may be. You get out, and there's a transition course, but it sucks. It's a joke, right? It's called TAPS. But you get out, and you're like, wait, the money just stops, right? What am I supposed to do with my life? Like, how do I make money? And there's a real fear. And then on top of that, like you just spent like, years in like the most intense brotherhood possible of like having friends. And you played college sports, right? So like, what that feeling is like.
Yeah. I know. I won't try to say it's the same, but I know you mean for sure.
But it is kind of the same, right? It's like you share pretty intense experiences that not many other people can share together, right? And then you get out, and that camaraderie it goes away, and you have to go find that tribe again, almost, So, unfortunately, like I've had more friends. I've lost more friends post military than during. So it's like that's a problem that we've still got to solve. But I think that not to go too crazy into, but I think that for me, while I was doing all that work, right, like the plan was, all right, I'll work at GNC. I'll be either be the CEO of GNC one day, or I'll get my EMT license. I'll go be a firefighter or a cop, whichever one takes me first. So like leaving the military it's a scary transition. So like I was going to be a cop or a firefighter or the CEO of GNC, right? So it's like, which one should I choose? I ended up like randomly meeting this guy. His name was Ryan Dobby. I met him at this bar, and he introduced me to this company called AFN that he was starting. And I was like, I just wanted to meet as many people as possible who didn't serve in the military, that I could like use my skills and talk about my skills that I had in the military that maybe it would translate to something they're doing. So this guy had a company. He's like, come in Monday for an interview. I'm like, okay, cool. So like I went in there, and he's like, who the fuck are you? I was like, met you. You told me to come in for an interview. And he's like, oh, all right. Well, how much do you want to get paid? And I was like, what? He's like, how much do you want to get paid? And I was like, I don't know, like 40, 50. And he's like, all right, I'll pay you 45, but if you make that next year, I'll fire you. I'm like, okay. And so I was like, all right. And it was like this kind of like, it felt like kind of like a boiler room almost atmosphere. I remember Boiler Room.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah. Love that.
I feel like Boiler Room. So it was like logistics. So like I was just trying to wing it. So like, I guess like that company turned into like a handful of us to 270 employees with me at the forefront. Right. And we were like, I came to like this crossroads where like I needed to understand like, all right, am I going to go be a cop or firefighter and be capped about how much money I can make and have to risk my life every single day? Or let's go take a risk and let's see if we can go make some money out of it. I was like, shit, like I just realized like, man, we can start making some serious money. And then all of a sudden the police officer jobs and the fire department jobs started to kind of like become a real thing. Like I'm getting offers, and I was like, nope. I turned it down and turned down my first offer. And state of the company, and there it was, But I guess the point for me is for other young guys getting out of the military, like, and what I tell them is like, man, like everyone's got a plan to like get punched in the mouth. Like all you can do is like meet as many people as possible. If there's a networking event, go to it. If you're at a restaurant and you're sitting next to people that sound cool, say hi to them, compliment them, talk to them, and like be like everyone. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to be a salesman, right? So like, I think when you get out, you just got to meet as many people as possible, talk to them, be a great listener, learn about their business. And if they end up like helping you someday because you guys have a friendship, cool, that's great. And if they don't, they can't do anything for you, don't expect it, then just accept that you got a great friendship out of it instead. It's a tough transition though, man. It's scary.
I commend all the progress you've made for sure.
I appreciate it.
Rewinding back to pre-launch, talking about formulation, product development for a second. I know you mentioned how you kind of came circle around the Rice Krispie type form factor. I also read one of the big goals around the product and the brand is making every flavor feel nostalgic. What does that feel nostalgic? What does that look like to you? And how do you guys approach that to make sure you achieve that?
Yeah, well, dude, there's so much to this story, but like, do you remember Muscle Milk?
Oh yeah, of course.
But do you remember, and I'm not talking about Muscle Milk the way it is now, because it sucks now. Muscle Milk sucks. When Muscle Milk first came out, man, it like exploded out in the market.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember.
I remember like
there, and then all of a sudden it was everywhere.
It was like, oh my God, like this is the best tasting thing I've ever had in my life. I was drinking like 3 of those a day. I was obsessed. I'm like, this is like not a protein drink. This is like a milkshake, but but the macros are solid. I don't think I looked at one of the ingredients. I was in my 20s, but like it was incredible. So that was like, honestly, my true inspiration was like, how do you get that? Part of the guys that did Muscle Milk are actually helping with the flavor company that makes some of the flavors that we make. And that was, what's funny about that is that it was actually by chance. Like we didn't even know that. So it's pretty wild. But like the nostalgia is like, I don't know, like everyone, like when you eat something and like, I was reading about this chef, his name's Fabio Viviani in Chicago, and he's very like inspirational chef guy. And he's like, if you look, you're getting a good meal when you take a bite and you close your eyes and you're just enjoying the taste because it takes you back to something. So for me, like I want every single person that eats our bars to like bite it and go, that's like the ultimate compliment, right? It's the ultimate compliment. Now, when you're trying to make a company that's like 100 million plus, it's really hard to do because you have to make a ton of bars at a massive scale. And, you got guys like David Bar making millions of bars per SKU at a time.
Yeah.
Where it's like cut and dry. That's it. Right. Where it's like our process, our manufacturing process is a lot more tough. So it's hard to really nail that down, but finding that good flavor profile in our innovation lab, that's the important thing, is understanding that there's a process, respecting the timeline and trying to do it in advance and not trying to rush everything. But we test a ton of stuff, man, like a ton of crazy ideas. Dude, we made a bourbon bacon bar once. It was disgusting. It was so gross. It was so gross, dude. It was like a Rice Krispie treat style, but bourbon bacon.
Yeah.
The best part is like all these people tried it. They're like, oh my God. And then I gave it to my son, who at the time was like 9. And he's like, Dad, this is delicious. Like, you should make more of these. I was like, of course you say that. Friggin' meathead. But yeah, it was like nailing down that flavor profile. So like, if you look at it, like our s'mores bar has like a little smokiness to it. So we want you to feel like you're sitting by a campfire and every bite you get a little chunk of a graham cracker, right? And a little crispiness. And you taste a little marshmallow fluff. So everything is has a mixture of marshmallow fluff in there. So we want you to bring you back to like a campfire. Or our cinnamon cereal bar that we just launched. It's exclusive with Lifetime because they're just the best customer on the planet. But it launches on our website at Shields Sporting Goods, Speedway next month or in September. But like that one is like, we did that to like, I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I don't even care if I get sued. Like, dude, I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Kudos to them. It's incredible, right? When I was a kid, like, and this goes back to nostalgia, always saying when I was a kid, you eat the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and what did you do afterwards? Like, the best part was drinking the milk, right?
Totally.
And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make like a bar that like brought me back to like my childhood days. It is like that. And that's exactly what we did. It's incredible, right? Like our coffee bar we make, we did a partnership with Stella Blue Coffee and Barstool Sports. I was talking with Big Cat. I don't know if you follow Barstool, but like I was talking with Big Cat, and I was like, yo, man, like, because they make an incredible coffee, Stella Blue Coffee, and they have like very innovative cold brew pouches, and they make like this like cinnamon donut, which is very similar to ours. So him and I were talking. I was like, man, like, why don't we make like an espresso bar, like a Stella Blue bar? And what we did is we took Stella Blue's coffee and we sprinkled it all over the top of every single bar, and with the coating on top of it, with the dark chocolate coating, and give it 100 milligrams of Stella Blue coffee caffeine. But like every time, I'm not kidding. When I brought it into the Barstool Sports Chicago office, I watched for it. Everyone took a bite, and the 3 people sitting across from me and their management team were just like this. And they closed their eyes and chewed it. And I was like, yes. It was just like, because you want to make something that people can like feel like, all right, I feel like I'm going back and drinking a cup of coffee, but also I'm eating a ridiculously tasty treat, and the macros are solid on it, So that's the idea, is that every single bar, like, it sounds so silly and there's all these like different things you got to jump through, but it's like, yo, man, just like, what if we just make them feel like they're going back to a spot that made them happy,
Yeah. I mean, it sounds simple, but makes a lot of sense. If the product doesn't taste really good, nothing else matters. So it seems like that you've spent a lot of time in that area.
It could also be vice versa, right? Because there's a lot of products out there that are so disgusting that are selling like millions of dollars worth of product.
It's true.
It's crazy. And I'm not going to call people out for their disgusting product, but man, there's a lot of companies that just raise a ton of money that their product is really gross.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a fair point. You talked about the marshmallow crisp stuff a little bit. From what I read to do my research, it sounds like you co-developed and or licensed that marshmallow crisp technology or something along those lines. That's really the tech behind that Rice Krispie form factor with a partner. Assuming that is the case, my research was correct. How'd you go about finding that right partner in the first place?
Well, I mean, you got to have a good food scientist and a good chef. And we had a great chef who is like very unorthodox, but man, efficient as hell. Sometimes I had like trouble understanding him because like our brains are just on totally different wavelengths, and he's very good at creating that stuff. I'm very good at tasting it and understanding it and marketing it, right? But just totally different wavelengths, but we clicked. So I think that for us to make a product that's proprietary, I don't think any product that you make is proprietary, man. Like, unless you're talking about like some of the bars out there that have like a certain fat soluble solution, right? Where they buy that out and now they own that whole process. But for us, I'm sure, do you see what I'm doing there? Leaving out the names, just trying to, whatever. I don't want a free market. They don't need it. They can pay for it. No, so, but like our manufacturer, we were fortunate enough to have like them on staff, and we had this turnkey process to start, which was so expensive to do. But I'll give you like a shortened version of the story, man. Like we went through hell, dude, like hell. Like we were about to get this deal. We were going to go nationwide into 7-Eleven, 15,000 stores. I worked at my ass off for it, right? And I had a great relationship with the 7-Eleven crew. They're just awesome. The buyers there, so cool, so supportive. So we tested in Texas, we tested on the East Coast, and we used our guys with this proprietary marshmallow crisp, right? Our fluff. And the day of the production, no joke, their enrobing line broke down. So I'm like, I'm on top of the world, right? And my stomach just. But what I caught was like the company they didn't reply to any of my emails. They would only call me. I was like, all right, this, like, your bullshit radar starts to go off, and you're like, oh man. So choosing, not to go too far into details, but like choosing like the proper partner, co-backer, properly vetting them, man, that's clutch. You have to do that. Otherwise you're screwed, because you're basically married to these people, right? It's like choosing the right person to get married to, because you're for the life of your business. They're going to be a part of it. Or if they're not going to be a part of it, the exit's going to be crazy. So when that happened, like, Adam, we didn't make a bar. Dude, like, talk about being on top of the world. And then all of a sudden it's like, what do I do? But like, absolutely, I raised money from investors. There's like, it wasn't at that time, it was like, you figure it the fuck out. That's like our company mentality. That's literally our podcast is called Figure It the Fuck Out, FitFo. right? Because that's what you just do as an entrepreneur. And you know this from your days, right? And like your early days in your old space. And now I'm sure the same thing. It's like, you got to figure it out, man. You have to hustle, and no one's going to give you anything. So, I went on the road. I've cashed out my kids from K, closed out my kids' college fund, my 401k. I went on the road. I didn't want to use investor dollars. I wanted to save the company money, and ended up going to like different shows and looking for a new co-manufacturer. And so I found a co-manufacturer that's freaking fantastic. And the shortened version is my partner and I, my partner Adam Wakefield and I, we made a significant investment into the company. So we have a bit of say. I don't want to say control, but we have a bit of say into when the product can be made, and beyond that, we actually own our own chocolate company now called Funcoa.
Wow.
After, when you are about to go like win the lottery per se for CPG, and like early on when you're just hustling and the rug gets pulled out underneath you, I'm never going through that ever again, dude. Like, there's no way I'll ever go through that, because that was just the most miserable time of my life. We control our own destiny. We make our own product. Now we can make, 150,000 units per SKU per day. Our chocolate, we can make a ton of chocolate for not just us, but for other brands as well. So, we're diversifying, but like, we're about as vertically integrated you can be without saying we're vertically integrated.
Yeah. You're thinking about ultimately actually going like fully vertical, and actually whether it's buying that entire co-packer outright or building out your own manufacturing, you're kind of taking it one step at a time.
And kind of one step at a time, but like, I don't ever want to have to be in a position where I have to like say, you like use my muscle per se, and like say like, I need it now, because that's just not good. Because we're minority owners of it, so like, we want to have a good relationship. We want him to get as much business as possible, not just say, okay, well, I'll make Battle Bar stuff. We want to be good partners. And like, anytime you do business with anyone, like, you want to have high integrity. And like, I've lived my life about like completely on integrity, man. And I feel like you end up like doing stuff like that and trying to strong arm because, hey, I put money into the company. It doesn't really matter. Like, you still got to run a business, right? And sooner or later that'll catch up with you. So to answer your question is like, right now, yeah, basically we're going to do that. But like, I think over time, as we continue to grow, and like, next year is going to be a big year for us. So I think that like next year, it's something we'll absolutely look at to expand that and have a little more control of the line.
Had those challenges with that first co-packer, you found this next one. Obviously, you liked them so much, you put some of your guys' own money into the company. What, looking back now, what kind of recommendations might you have for some other up and coming brand owners that are starting that search for a co-packer?
Yeah, I think in any business, it comes down to communication. How easy, like, are the people that you work with able to communicate with you? Because that's what it comes down to. When you're a new brand, nothing is cut and dry. Nothing is like, okay, I'm going to make 100,000 bars on this day. I'm going to make 100. No, dude, because like, you could have this plan, and all of a sudden, like, a buyer gets back to you and says, I want X, Y, Z. Or you could have a viral video that, bam, well, shit, you just sold 30,000 bars, and now we gotta roll, right? Like, we gotta make a ton, and you don't want to be out of stock, because out of stock sucks. Like, that really sucks, man. Like, and believe me, we were out of stock for 4 months, dude. Out of stock. We didn't make one product for 4 months. That's the death wish, right? So, but we survived that. And I think that, like I was telling you earlier, it's a battle of attrition. You really just don't quit. But when you're going to co-mans and you're trying to go find the right ones, you have to be able to get along with them. I think that, like, dude, do you have a good vibe? And you got to trust your gut. And there's a certain amount of people that have that skill and be able to say, like, all right, like, I trust this person. Like, I'm gonna like let it loose, right? Like, I feel like, Adam, I can tell you, I can talk to you. Like, I feel like you've been through some shit business wise, right? And I feel like we can have a good conversation. But like, there's certain people where you'll be on the phone and they're like, you can tell that you're a transaction to them as opposed to like a valuable relationship. And those transactional relationships don't last. They just don't. And when you're a new business, you might have to do some transactions for sure. Just do whatever it takes just to get going. But you got to find a great partner. But also, you got to have product that actually you can make a lot of product of, right? Because there's not a lot of co-mans, which is a good thing for my business, my partner's business, is that there's not a lot of co-mans out there for the small to medium-sized companies that want to make snacks. There's just not a ton of them out there. With our co-packer now, and I'll say their name, it's like Muscle Master Food Labs in Florida. just great guys. And like, I met this guy and him and I just, to the point about just trusting, like we just trusted each other. And we were both at this point where we're trying to grow, we're trying to get our business off the ground. And I was like, look, I need an aerobic line. He's like, well, I don't have one, but I'll buy one. I was like, okay, you'll invest in one. He's like, can you commit X amount of bars to me? And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And so he bought it. We did it. And now he's flourishing, man. I mean, he makes an incredible product. Their communication is stellar. They're on time. Their quality is there. They know, like, they kind of work around like some of the issues that we're trying, like, 'cause there's always production issues, but they do a great job of making a great bar. And I can't say enough about that. But I work with their innovation team. So like now what we do, we had to like kind of reformulate the fluff because like their old way wasn't working. And like, to be honest with you, like I'm a weird guy like that on like vibes, is that I didn't want anything to do with the old manufacturer at all. I don't want anything to do with it. Like I wanted to like so we like tweaked the formula a little bit so it's like completely ours. So now it's like ours outright. So like if the old co-man is listening, which they don't exist anymore, but you can have it. You're old. But like to be honest with you, man, like everything is, we can own it all we want, but like everything is so easy to be tweaked. That's why it's like, dude, if you have a great brand, like that's what matters. You can't copy a brand. You can try, but you can't copy. You can't copy it. Everyone can make everything. I mean, I always give the example of like Black Rifle Coffee. Those guys, I mean, veteran owned like us, they sell coffee, dude. Like they're not reinventing it. I mean, they used to sell, those guys, they would tell me that they used to sell t-shirts and give away their coffee.
Yeah.
That's like, they came up with unique marketing strategies and not everything was like right to do. And they made so many mistakes and they still make mistakes, but like, hey man, like it worked. And I think that's like a page of the book that you should take out is like, I worry about like making sure our product tastes great. I don't give a shit if someone's going to copy it. I'm sure someone already has, and it's out there. Like we've seen other stuff. And I'm not even saying they're copying us, but if we have a great brand to go along with that and we get velocity in retail, it doesn't matter. They can't worry about other people. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Dude, out of everyone, how many people have messaged me about like David Bar? Like, are you worried about David Bar? I'm like, I'm not worried about David Bar. It's a totally different product than ours.
Yeah.
But two, they just raised $75 million at a $750 million valuation. That's great PR for any brand trying to raise money like ours, because I promise you there's a bunch of rich people that missed that boat, you know? But in order for someone to 10X their return, that means they're going to sell for like $7.5 billion, which all investors want to 10X, right? So like, I'm not saying it's not possible because like, you know, like I know Peter and Peter's gangster, man. Peter Ailes, he's gangster. He knows what he's doing. But I've talked to him a bunch and I met him at one of our co-packers, actually. It was a funny run-in. But anyway, my point is that like, you can't worry about what other people are doing. You can pay attention and respect it and watch and take a page out of their book, but like, you can't give a shit what other people do. People are going to copy you. Doesn't really matter, you know, especially if you're doing something good, right?
Totally. I read that you switched from canola oil to coconut oil at one point. Was that, how recently was that? I'm curious, was that a tough change to make from a formulation production standpoint, or is that a pretty easy transition?
Yeah. So like the oil, the canola oil we used in the past, I mean, like canola oil wasn't like known as a bad thing, quote unquote, a bad thing until like, I don't know, in the last few years, whenever like everyone's staring at ingredients on social media, all of a sudden everyone's a doctor and a food scientist nowadays. Dude sitting in his basement playing Call of Duty. He's like, what has this got? Canola oil in it? You know, it's like, so same thing. It's like we follow the trends and we listen to our customers, and some customers didn't like it. Honestly, I kind of disagree with it. Like, I don't know. Like the amount we use is so nominal. I think that like, based on the research, you'd have to use so much of it for it to actually have an inflammatory effect on you. For sure. But for me, like, you know, like coconut oil is, I don't hear anyone complaining about coconut oil opposed to like, maybe it's not an allergen. You know, I thought it was an allergen at some point, but it's not. But that's it. So I'm like, let's just see if coconut oil works, because it helps like keep the bar together a little bit. And it did. And actually it made it better. It made it taste better. And it's a good look. So it's a good look for us, right?
Yeah.
But there's you know, we're always looking to improve the bar. Like we don't use like a sucralose or an aspartame, because what we found out is those sucralose or aspartame, while it may, you may be able to say it gives you that zero sugar like claim that everyone loves to put on their ingredients, but that's everything I hate about protein bars, is that like everyone kind of feels like I'm getting bullshitted by some chemical that was in a lab. So we do use like a small amount of erythritol, but in 2026 we're looking at monk fruit to switch that out. So I think that it's crazy. I mean, I think sugar, organic cane sugar, the ones that we use in our bars for sugar it's one sucralose is like 1/16 the cost of actual like sugar. So we make an expensive bar. My number one problem in our company is that we make an expensive bar, and every day, like every time we talk on finance calls, it's like, what can we do to reduce the cost?
Yeah.
There are a lot of things we can do to reduce the cost. I'm not willing to do. It's like we're never going to use like artificial flavors or colors or dyes, things like that. I think it's important to us that we stick along those ethos. And one thing that stood out to us is like my favorite customer that we started working with, and I say favorite because I love all our customers, of course, but like my favorite is Lifetime Athletic Club. I don't know if you go to a Lifetime at all. We're in their Life Cafes. They were one of the first customers to truly believe in us. And when we went through all of our problems with manufacturing, they stuck by our side. They didn't get rid of us. They could have easily dropped us, and I probably would have, because like I couldn't give them a good ETA, and we're going to make them product, but like we're not going to do it. We believe in you guys. Keep it up, and they did. They stuck by us. But anyway, to get into Lifetime, you have to be free of the harmful 7. So if you go to like Lifetime website, there's like they have certain guidelines you have to follow if you want to be on their shelf. And it's very important. Like to the point where we even put that on our website, that we stole it from Lifetime. We love the idea so much that it sticks with us.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
On the topic of gyms, I think it seems like one thing that you have that most other CPG operators don't is that it seems like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you have a bit of a testing ground to kind of validate product ideas and flavors, i.e. those 2 gyms that you own. I'm curious, how have you leveraged your members' feedback to help drive product development decisions? Do you use this internal data in any ways to also like pitch retailers?
Dude, you're spot on. They are quite literally our testing audience, and they love every bit of being the testing audience. We have such a good relationship with these guys and girls. I mean, we have there's 400 plus members that we have. So like anytime a new product comes out, anytime I get some new testing, anytime we're like in the innovation lab, I'll get X amount of bars like sent to us, and I'll have people test them out. And like just like coming up in September, we're reducing our flavor counts down to 5 hero flavors. And we put a survey out to all 400 plus people and said, tell me your top 5 if you had to rank these. So the 5 flavors that we come out, we put a survey out to our members at the gym. We put our surveys out to members of our like subscription club members, and also our wholesalers and regular e-commerce customers. And we just like took all that data, put it into one, and said, all right, here's what they said the top 5 was. And that's what we're going to put out there. So I think you listen to your customers, but like to your point, like I quite literally have like the best like ground for telling me what sucks and what's not, like from packaging to like, would you grab this on the shelf? What do you see about this? Like what looks good to you? People will give me great feedback, and they're very honest about it. And I also have like people that I think people buy brands, not just products. And I think that people want to be a part of something. And like with our gym, we sell to a lot of other gyms, is that when they give me that feedback, I make sure I take notes, and our sales girl for director of nutrition for us that's looking to sell to gyms, jiu-jitsu gyms and boutique stores like that. She takes notes on how we want the product displayed and what their feedback is and what they say about it. So we can use that to have other gyms sell the product and have great velocity in those gyms.
It sounds like you really focused on launching. I think you got into like 1,000 or so gyms before you focused on retail outside of gyms. At what point did it feel like, okay, we're in enough of these gyms, you've gotten enough feedback, we feel like we've dialed things in enough where, okay, we're ready to start expanding into retail?
Can I be brutally honest with you? I just wanted to get into many gyms as possible because like I saw like I read about like how RX Bar just expanded into a ton of gyms. And I love fitness, dude. I mean, like, cause I own gyms. I work out every morning at 5. I love it. I drink the Kool-Aid of all of it. And I think that like, I don't know, I think everyone at some point copies someone, kind of like to the point, like someone's going to copy battle bars and take their success and you try to make it better. And so like, we kind of just like, I didn't really have a plan. I was kind of like, you ever see that movie Dark Knight? And it's like, do I look like a guy with a plan? Like, look at my mustache. This thing's disgusting. So I'm like, I don't really have a plan. No, I have a plan now. But I mean, before it was like, dude, you're just trying to throw shit at the wall and hope it sticks. And I'm like, I know how to talk to gym members. Don't know how to talk to retailers. So I don't even know how to give them when I originally started looking at 7-Eleven, I finally cold called someone on the phone, and all of a sudden I randomly got this form to fill out. I was like, what the fuck does all this mean? Pallet? What? How big is this? Like what? And then I was like, man, I need to stick to what I'm good at. So I was like, I can talk to gym owners all day long. I'm like, yeah, this is what we make it for. This is what I'll sell it to you. This is what you sell it for, you know? And then your members will love it because it's veteran owned, and like CrossFit and boutique gyms like that, they love veterans, and it's an easier sell. And the best part is that when they taste it, they're like, oh my God, this is actually good. So it's it's definitely a bonus.
Once you're on the shelf at gyms, what are the key things? And I'm mostly curious in terms of the differences between traditional retail in terms of actually driving velocity and driving sell-through, and what jumps out in terms of what's different in terms of strategies that work best compared to traditional retail.
You know what I learned is I learned that for gyms to turning velocity in gyms where, I can make the most margin when I sell wholesale direct, right? If I got to sell it to a certain retailer, I got to pay a distributor, and I mean, how the process goes. But so early on, you want to keep as much margin as possible so you can have positive cash flow. And for gyms, what we said is all right, we want velocity in these gyms. We want to keep them turning. So we created a community page where everyone's a part, and we want people to feel like they're a part of our journey. So I'm like, man, at our gyms that we own, I have private community pages where everyone's talking nonstop. Everyone's communicating with each other nonstop. I'm like, so why am I not doing that with other gyms that buy and sell battle bars? And if I'm learning how to run my gym more effectively and make profits, because being a gym owner is not for the faint of heart, man. It's freaking hard, dude. It's hard to make money. So you got to have all your systems dialed in. So, being able to connect with other gym owners, talk about different ways that they can be successful. A big thing we found is pulling from my old GNC days is a big stepper. Was all right, I want you to sell 3 items. Every time someone buys something at checkout, I want you to sell 3 of them. Right? They should never walk up and just have a Fit Aid, right? They should walk out with a Fit Aid and a battle bar. That's how it is. We always push. And Fit Aid guys are they're my boys, and they're awesome people. So we have a great relationship marketing wise. So we're always saying grab a battle bar and a Fit Aid. I sell, for example, at a gym, it's you buy a battle bar for $4. That's our suggested retail price. And a Fit Aid is $3. But I'll work on a deal at my gym, and I say, just do a 2 for $6, or buy 2 battle bars, right? Or buy 2 for $6 of battle bars. And no one ever, because they know they're going to buy it the next day. So I'm like, why would I buy just 1? That sounds silly. So I'll just buy 2. If I go to the store and I see 2 and I'm like, well, shit, I guess I got to buy the other one because it's a deal, right? But in reality, it's I don't know. Is it the greatest deal? I don't know. Do I really need to save 40 cents? But I'm still going to go do it. But that's the way the consumer thinks. And the idea is you get them to buy as much as possible up front, and that'll keep them coming back because they're used to that. They get that buyer consistency, and that translates well. So we have the FAQs and cheat sheets we send over. We're always constantly communicating about new flavors, and then constantly telling them of what's new and coming up, and making sure they feel like they're a part of our team, because they are.
For those people that have never sold in retail before, looking back now, or they're just starting to approach retail, what are a few things that come top of mind that they should keep in mind to give them the best chance of getting on the shelf?
Know your margin. Number one, know your margin. Because know your margin, know your days to pay, be strict on your days to pay, especially if you're a great product, but you got to develop that community and that product first. Because if you don't have the community and product, then the more demand you have, the more you can work on your contract with that certain retailer, right? Sometimes at the beginning, I'm just dude, whatever, if you want to take my product, 60 days to pay, okay. 90 days to pay, okay. Just put my product on the shelf. Being on the shelf doesn't mean you're winning, right? Being on the shelf with positive cash flow means you're winning. For us, we're very strict on who we do business with. I'm I'm not just going to do business because it's good marketing, To be very clear, very fair, Vitamin Shop, they're a fantastic customer for us. They're fantastic. I don't really know if we make a lot of money. I mean, I know, but we don't make a ton of money off it. But Vitamin Shop is such a respected name in the industry, and it drives good velocity for us, and it's good cash flow. But more importantly, it's great marketing. And I can't tell you how many customers I've got from Vitamin Shop just because they walked into a Vitamin Shop and the manager was like, hey, you guys got to try this. This is incredible. I mean,
I got an interview with Walmart specifically because someone walked into a vitamin shop and loved the product so much and sent it to their buddy who's a buyer at Walmart. Or like, same thing, like HEB, all these other people are going into HEB left and right. But like with brokers or distributors or whatnot, we got an HEB direct. Outside of the fact that I like slid into their LinkedIn and personal DMs about 10,000 times. But I think the important part is like growing too fast is a problem. And I think that everyone wants to like win the World Series and not play 162 games. I think that like, or to your reference, they don't want to play the 17 now, which is weird. 17 games. I'm so used to saying 16 game, but 17 game NFL season. They want to win the Super Bowl, but not play the full season. It's like, no, man, like you got to play the full season. You got to learn, you got to take your licks. You're going to make a ton of mistakes, but if you don't quit, you can't fail if you don't quit. Right. So like, you just got to stay the course, learn as much as possible. But if you try to go too fast, like you could have a day where there's $500,000 sitting in your checking account and you're just like looking like this, everything's cool, your marketing budget where you want to go up, whatever. And then 3 days later, you could be down to like 4 digits, and that's scary. Yeah. And you only learn that by honestly really going through it or having a great team around you that tells you don't do that. Right. Yeah. So like for us, I'm like, man, like I want to be able to say that I'm like in certain stores. But it's only cool if you're in those stores, if you can stay in those stores, So for us, like I'm focused on driving velocity and supporting our partners,
Yep.
Like HEB, like I want to sell a ton of bars in HEB. And we don't have a massive marketing budget, we're not like this huge company. So like we want to be able to sell to HEB and watch them move and do coupons with them. But like what we've relied on is like, we haven't really marketed much with them because we just don't have the budget that they desire for that. But dude, it sells because Texas, they're in Texas. That was strategy for us because Texas loves military. They love their veterans. So for us, like that was a focus of ours. It is like, all right, we're going to go into Texas and we don't have this massive marketing budget, but we know that if we keep emailing our customers in Texas, they're going to show up. And they do. And they show up and the PO from HEB comes like clockwork. The invoice gets paid on time every time. They're a great customer.
Thinking about that packaging design process and you're going through that in terms of like kind of the key variables that were top of mind for you, or another way to look at it, what was top of mind for you guys when you're creating that brief in terms of what you really wanted to prioritize?
Yeah, I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not, I feel like I have a good eye for stuff. I know what I like, and I feel like I can point stuff out that works. Originally, we had an in-house designer. I did with our. It's funny, in our headquarters, it's here. But it's downstairs, we have like a big lounge area. We have a golf simulator and like plunge and sauna and a full bar. And on the wall is like all of our packaging in frames from the first packaging we created to the most recent packaging. And like we just redid our packaging again, and it probably won't be the last because you have to always do something new. You always have to keep it fresh, right? We had someone in-house, and then we put something out on LinkedIn that we were looking for someone to work for us on a contractual basis, but like really dive into our brand. And I work with this guy. His name is Lucas Wetzel. He's incredible. Like his communication is top, like very, very quick turnaround time, professional, incredibly professional. And to everything we said in the past is that like we have a great relationship. So it clicks, but like as you expand, like you always want to keep your options open and you want to be able to have keep those relationships with people like yourself, right? That know the space and they know regulatory on how to create packaging. You can't just have a graphic designer who has no experience in packaging, right? In CPG, because then all of a sudden your nutrition label looks like shit, but you're like, well, this looks great. But you have no idea that you can't go on the shelf like that, right? So having good like co-packing relationships as well. We work with CorePack. They handle all of our packaging and boxes, and they're great at like cross-referencing everything, making sure it's good, communicating about timelines and understanding the quality and the sizing. And they have great packaging engineers they bring out that works with us. So I think it's always like it's an ongoing, not problem, but it's an ongoing thing that you're always having to pay attention to because, you can't have just one option. You got to have backup options and you got to have like a lot of great partners, right?
On the topic of fundraising stuff, I think you guys have raised, $1 million or $2, maybe more at this point. What have you found works well from a fundraising process?
Well, I think we have great branding. And I think that like there's a lot of people that have money that didn't serve, and they want to feel a part of that early on. And I think that like that early on, like before you get into private equity, before you're like putting your books together and looking at a true valuation of EBITDA and all like your revenue and all that stuff, right? Like everyone wants to like. I talked to this one like founder not long ago. They've been around for like a year. Like they were doing like 50 grand or something. Like they just started, but it was like 50 grand in like a couple months. And I was like, well, what do you think you guys? What are you saying you guys are worth if you're going to raise money? And they're like, well, we're going to go get a professional valuation. I'm like, what do you mean a professional valuation? Dude, like you guys are so new. Like your valuation is what an investor will pay. They're going to pay early on. That is what it is. Because like at that early on, like that multiple, like really big investors, they're not caring about that multiple. They're caring about the multiple past. Like, all right, when you pass that like 2 to 3 million or 4 to 5 million in revenue stage, then we'll talk, right? But like for us, like we were not fortunate because we made our own luck, is that when we sold our last business, a lot of people made a lot of money and they knew that I was a big part of that. So it was not easy, but it's a challenging process because we've had to go back and ask for money a lot. And, I'm fortunate to have some pretty awesome investors, including the old president of our X Bar, Jim Murray, great guy.
Nice.
And, he knows the space incredibly well. He's become a friend and he gives me great advice. And, I have, my business partner, Adam, is our biggest investor outside of me, but he's our biggest investor. And, Adam sold a logistics company, did very well for himself and was bored and wanted to get into something new. So but he knows logistics. And for anyone that's scaling their business, when you get to that scale phase, you're like, all right, well, how can we start shaving some things elsewhere without hurting the product? Transportation is number one, right? Can you cut your cost or can you do that? And he's been incredibly helpful with that. So yeah, I think our goal now, like we're in this phase of growth where it's like everyone's like, oh, well, you got to go hit 5 million. How come you're not at that right there yet? And it's like, wait a minute, you can do that, but it costs money to go do that, right? In order to make money in this business, you got to go spend money on product. You got to go on your cogs, right? So for us, we've gotten to a point where we're about to go nationwide with Speedway. And after that, 7-Eleven, Walmart, Love's Travel Stops, and beyond that, right? And we're focusing on, with a very small team, we're focusing on driving velocity within those so that I can take that data, go to some serious investors, and by the way, choose your investors like you choose your co-packer or you choose your wife. Because if you take their money, they're in your brand. They're on the cap table, right? So you're a part of their business and they are just as much a part of yours. So you got to be strategic. Got to be strategic on how you take that money. So for me, we're preparing to go raise between $4 and $5 million in our next round. We have some great investors kind of lined up and to show, because we know we're like, wait a minute, like if we go do this thing, like we can make it big. Like we have velocity, the bar's selling, right? And we've kind of backed off of Meta and Google a lot. Actually, we're not really doing Meta and Google as much anymore, as opposed to just saying I'm going to start focusing on having success in our retailers and making them love us. And then once they love us, we can trickle down. Whereas the traditional way is like it used to be before, like all the other crazy stuff happened with Apple and all that. It was like you build your brand D2C and then you grow from there. And that's still alive. Some people can still do that. But we did that, right? And we did decent at it. I think we did okay. But then our velocity in stores is growing faster than our velocity in online. So it's like you go with what works. And that's what's working for us. So we double down on it. And, that's part of our next fundraise is a big focus on that. Like you can get into these stores, but you got to go pay to get in these stores, and then having a good banking relationship, I think is insanely important.
Yeah, that's not talked about much, but I think you're totally right on that front.
Yeah. Well, why get rid of equity if you don't have to? A bank is going to give you money if you're profitable. Be profitable, right? Don't be a loser. Be profitable.
Yep.
Right.
Totally. Last question for you. Any brands or just trends in general across the CPG space that you've been kind of just tracking on the side that you're kind of excited about or feel like there's a lot of potential behind?
Like in the competitive space, like with mine?
or not competitive, just anything you see on the grocery store shelf that you all of a sudden brand new discovery. Like I'm starting buying this every week, or anything that jumps out.
I mean, this is not an advertisement. I don't have skin in the game. Have you heard of these guys?
What?
Fit Aid?
No.
Dude, I mean, they make like, it's just the cleanest and healthiest like vitamins. They call it like vitamins you'll enjoy drinking. But, like, they make like, they're big in like fitness, like gyms, CrossFit gyms are big in like
what's the name of the brand?
It's called Fit Aid or Life Aid beverage.
Okay. Oh, that's one you're talking about. Got it. Okay.
But like, I'm telling you, man, like this thing, if you like grape, that is, it's 0 sugar. It's, I believe it's sweetened with monk fruit. But there's, encapsulated creatine by Creabev, right? There's BCAAs, electrolytes, turmeric, vitamins B, C, whatever, CoQ10, right? Glucosamine. There's everything you need for recovery. And I work out like a lunatic. And when I'm done, like there is nothing better. Like I can't explain it to you. Like Adam, when you work out next, you gotta like drink one of these afterwards. It's so refreshing. I can't even tell. They have an energy drink line. They have like a I think it's like a grape acai, but it's or however you say that. I always screw that up. But it's incredible and it's clean energy. All the crap energy out there on the market that's just like loaded with crap. Dude, so I'll tell you a story. Another reason why I like Fit Aid. So back in the day in logistics, I'm not going to call it the company who it was, but the company we used to ship for a very large energy drink company, and I was drinking like 3 of them a day. And you know this brand, but we had like a freight board where we had to book off of. The company called us and said, "Hi, I need like 100 or 150 truckloads of our concentrate shipped to some of our facilities across the country." And we're like, "Okay." Like, all right, well, the drivers have to have a certification for hauling hazardous materials. I was like, okay, I'm like, looking at my drink and I'm like, what do you mean hazardous? And they're like, yeah, it's corrosive. And I was like, well, right. Like, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm drinking corrosive material. Like, what am I doing? But that's what it was. And I was like, never again. I didn't drink one more of them. I was done with it. So anyway, I look for brands like Fit Aid. Fit Aid's not new, man. They've been around for a very, very long time. They're just great guys. They've like really narrowed down the space. We partner with a lot of things together. So and they're good people. So like I love giving them shout outs, but they deserve it. They make a great product. They just came out with a hydration stick as well. I love the hydration space. I don't know how big you are in the hydration space. Another hydration company is called Protect with a K. They're very unique in that most hydration companies have powder. These guys make it liquid. It absorbs. The absorption rate's much greater. It's delicious, but they're also like a bunch of Navy-owned represented.
Nice. Cool. That's check that one too.
Yeah, good guys. And then in the THC space, my buddy, who's actually the CEO of Killcliff. Do you remember Killcliff?
I don't think I remember that one. No.
Killcliff is like a Joe Rogan partner drink.
If I saw the logo, I'd probably recognize it.
You would know it. But so the old CEO of Killcliff and the old one of the old founders of Killcliff, they started a company called Athletic THC. It's like your Delta. I don't want to screw it up. It's like Delta 9, but it's like they made like a pre-workout, a flow, and it's like so it's microdosed THC with like B vitamins and things like that. So like you can take it like I give it to my girlfriend before she does yoga, and she's just like flowing through yoga, and it just has like a good calming effect. And then they have this power formula that if you take it before you work out, and it's just like, it just gives you a different style push.
Interesting. I'll definitely check that one out for sure.
Yeah. Athletic THC. I think they're just about to raise some cash too. So good.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll definitely check that one out.
Yeah.
Alex, this has been great. Really appreciate the time. This has been awesome.
Oh yeah, man.
What's the best place for people to follow along with you personally? And then also what's the best place for people to follow along with Battle Bars as well?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously you can like follow me on LinkedIn, just look me up, Alex Witt, and then you could go to like an Instagram, awit33, and then of course battle_bars. You find us there. A lot of cool stuff on there. We're launching a podcast called Fitvo. Be on the lookout there. We have some crazy cool guests, including like UFC champs, guys like Ryan Bader, who's an investor of ours as well, and other like cool entrepreneurs, billionaires, and like really learn from them and try to like learn how we can
make money together and learn some good tips of the trade so we don't have to all make the mistakes that they've made and I've made and Adam, you've probably made too, right?
For sure.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Well, Alex, this has been great. Really appreciate the time. I think that's the pod.